Hi everybody, welcome to our first summer reading program, Cooking Show. I am really excited about this one. We are kicking it old school and we are going back to the 1950s to break out some vintage Jell-O recipes. I'm going to be bold because I was talking with my mom and she said that her mom used to make all of these weird but tasty Jell-O recipes when she was younger and growing up, and she used to just throw everything in the Jell-O, and I was like, okay. And I did some research and they make Jell-O with everything. There's SpaghettiOs, there's meatloaf, there's gravy. I settled on this classic shrimp Jell-O recipe, which might not sound very good, but it's pretty tasty. All it is some cocktail shrimp, some chicken broth, some veggies, and that's about it. Really simple and easy for summer. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, to get started, we're just going to take our, it's going to take 3.5 cups of chicken broth, which we're just going to be using a whole carton here. And you're going to pour it into a saucepan and just bring it to a boil. So it's a lot like making regular Jell-O. It's just that we're adding some different flavors. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're just going to take 1/4 cup of water. You can buy this plain gelatin in the Jell-O aisle. It's unflavored and it comes in little packets. And this guy is going to take all 4 packets. And you're just going to pour them into that little bit of water. And then you're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes. And that's going to let the Jell-O kind of get activated just a little bit. And then we're going to add it to our chicken broth. All right, it has been a little over 5 minutes. Our chicken broth is at a low boil. It's not quite rolling or anything like that, but it's definitely getting ready here. Your gelatin you're going to want to mix, and it's going to be this really weird consistency. It's going to kind of look like mashed potatoes. I don't recommend eating it. It's not going to have any flavor, but it's ready to go, and we're just going to mix this now into the chicken broth. And you're going to want to mix all of it in there, and then it'll dissolve. So when it's done dissolving, then that's when you know to take it off of the And then you're just going to pour this into a bowl and chill it in the refrigerator for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's going to want to get to a nice like jelly-like consistency so that you will be able to put the veggies and the shrimp in it, but it's not going to be firm yet. So it's kind of an in-between state. And that's why we're just going to put it in a bowl instead of putting it into our mold right off the bat. All right. It's still got a few floaters in it, but those should dissolve. more just to kind of get those last little tidbits. And then we'll move this into the refrigerator. All right, now that our Jell-O mixture you can see hasn't fully set up, but it's kind of it's almost like a pudding texture or a syrupy texture. We're gonna transfer it over to our Jell-O mold. I'm using a fancy Jell-O mold from Tupperware, but you can definitely use like a bundt pan or really anything that is kind of this shape. So we're going to pour that in there, get it nice and evenly spread out. And then you can either put your shrimp in first or you can put your vegetables. I'm going to try putting my vegetables in first. So this is just mixed vegetables that they were frozen and I just heated them up in the microwave. You can use a canned mixed vegetables. You can just kind of pick the vegetables that you like too. For this one, it's just the basic mixed veggies, which has the corn, the lima beans, and the peas, and the green beans. And you gotta kind of shove them down in there. When they say you don't get to play with your food as a kid, they lied. Because that's exactly what this is doing. It's like playing with your food. You can put as much of this in there as you want. I'm going for pretty. Like if I was going to take this to a luncheon or something. And then I'm going to add my shrimp. We just used cocktail shrimp for this one, but it really doesn't matter. It needs to be cooked and it needs to have the tails off. So otherwise, it doesn't matter if they're frozen or if you buy a cocktail ring. I suppose if you wanted to get fresh shrimp and cook it and devein it, I don't know why you would go through all of that to stick it in a Jell-O casserole, but if if that's how you roll. So you can see the reason that we had to wait was so that we can kind of place these in there and the Jell-O will hold its shape. I think we've got it, so I'm just going to add a few more. Alright, and then when you're satisfied with the amount of shrimp that you have in there, the last thing you're going to do is take your canned corn and put it over the top. You're just going to be making a layer here, kind of just like a pretty little base. And pat that in there so that it gets into the Jell-O and isn't going to be loose. All right, and then you're just going to put it in the fridge. Since this is a Tupperware mold, I'm going to put my lid on here, but I don't think you would have to have your lid on there. I don't think it needs to be covered. But then just chill it in the refrigerator for about 4 hours, and then we'll show you how to pop it out. We'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a few hours since we put it in the fridge, and it's gotten nice and firm. Actually, what I have done in the meantime is I put it in the sink with some warm water for just a couple of minutes. You could also put this in a slightly larger bowl, but the warm water is going to help loosen it out of the mold just a little bit. You don't want to leave it in there too long because then it will undo everything that you've done, but just a little bit for just a couple of minutes. Hopefully it was long enough. We'll find out. So, the nice thing with this Tupperware mold is, in theory, it's going to pop out onto the plate. So I'm going to take out this middle mold here. And sure enough, it dropped. And now, voila! We have a beautiful shrimp and mixed vegetable Jell-O ring. Perfect for any party. You could certainly spruce this up by putting some like spinach leaves or some of the extra mixed vegetables around it just to give it a little finished look. But I think this looks just beautiful all by itself. Now for the best part. We're gonna try it. I want to make sure that I get a good slice of shrimp. We're gonna go right here. Corn kind of fell out the bottom there. Alright. It's pretty tasty. It's got a nice savory flavor from your chicken broth. It adds to the shrimp. The vegetables taste good. It's almost like a gravy. Pretty tasty. It's definitely something different and new that you could break out at a summer cookout. Not too hard to do either. All right, well, if savory isn't quite up your alley and you're wanting to try something a little less dangerous, Sarah's got a delicious coconut or a pina colada Jell-O ring coming up next. So you'll want to check that out.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be making a pina colada molded salad. So what you'll need is 2 packages of unflavored gelatin and a cup of cold water. But since I'm not using a hot pan, I heated the water up because you'll need to have the Jell-O overheat. So I will pour in the Jell-O, cold water into the Jell-O, and I will stir it until it is dissolved. So the recipe says to use a large saucepan and stir it over heat until gelatin is completely dissolved, but I just microwaved half a cup of cold water and used that as the heat. You see the Jell-O is almost dissolved. Next, I'm going to stir in So it's 1 cup cream of coconut. And 1 cup of sour cream. And 3/4 cups of lime soda, and we use 7-Up. You can probably use Sprite or Squirt. It just has to be any lime soda. Ooh, sizzling. And then we had a 1-ounce can of unsweetened crushed pineapple, and I just drained it to get the pineapple juice. And you pour that in, and then you stir all together. Definitely smell the pineapple juice. So after I get this all stirred together, I will put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. And while it's in the refrigerator, you'll have to stir it until it's thickened. Stir occasionally, and then you want it to have it thick before you bring it out of the refrigerator. Okay, so my method of trying to skip the saucepan did not work so well. We had to end up reheating it. So I would recommend you follow the recipe and use a saucepan. The microwave method did not work. So after it gets chilled, you kind of want it to be like a pudding consistency. And then you want to add in a 1/2 cup of macadamia nuts, but we don't have macadamia nuts, so we had chopped pecans, which you can use any nuts. And then 3/4 cups of shredded sweetened coconut. And then the pineapple, the crushed pineapple that we drained the juice from, you will just pour it in there. And it's okay if there's juice still left over, and you'll just fold everything in together. So the reason why we chilled it and let it thicken is since we're adding stuff, we don't want it all to fall to the bottom, and this will help it all stick together and prevent it from falling to the bottom. It looks good. Smell the pineapple. It also said to use a 6-ring mold, and I didn't have a 6-ring mold, but you can use a bump pan. Let's make sure this gets all folded in. I'm just going to spray the bump pan, and this to help the Jell-O not stick as much when you try to get it out. And you'll just pour it in there. I can do this without breaking the bowl. My bowl cracked on me a little bit. You want to put it in the refrigerator for 3 hours or until firm, and we'll do a taste test later on. Now that our Jell-O has set up, I'm going to tip it over and we'll finish it. We spray the bump pan so that it's easy to come out. And then for finishing touches, what you can do is you can take pineapple and put it in the middle and put shredded coconut on top. So for this, since I'm just going to take a slice of it and put it on my plate with some pineapple on top. We'll try them. see how it tastes. The shredded coconut. Very sweet. Can't really taste the nuts, so if you like nuts, you can add more nuts, but overall it's pretty good. This is my first time making it, and I'm glad it turned out. Enjoy!